Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. The frost that hit the southern tier in the spring is having a lasting impact on apple season in the region. Our Josh Studle has details now on how local orchards are preparing for the fall harvest.
The leaves are changing, the air is crisp, which means one thing: fall has arrived. But for local farmers, this has been no celebration. Farmer and owner Alec Moore of Apples and More explains more about his farm and how the devastating frost has affected his crops.
So I bought the farm in 2020. That's when it became Apples and More. Previously, it was Reisinger's Apple Country. This farm itself has been in existence as a U-pick farm since the early 2000s when the Reisinger family began doing business up here. So I spent a large portion of my life working on this farm before I bought it. So it's been a great honor to be able to come back and buy the farm and continue on the great tradition, the great business the Reisingers built. It's really been a pleasure the last 4 years to be able to continue to serve all the customers that have been coming here for decades. So the frost probably took about half of our apple crop. On May 18th, the temperature went down to 22 degrees, and that's really a critical temperature, below a critical temperature for apples to withstand and survive. And so we lost about half the crop, and then obviously there is some fruit rusting and some other effects of the freeze that we just couldn't control. It was really unprecedented for that late in May, but we are still open 4 days a week, 5 days a week, trying to continue on as best we can.
Alec is just one of many farmers in the southern tier who lost most of, if not all, of their crops this year. Alec is hopeful, like many others, that next year will be better. Josh Studle, Big Fox News, Watkins Glen.
It was a good showing for Elmira College in this year's U.S. News Best College Rankings. The college came in 7th place on the publication's rankings of regional colleges in the North. It also placed 2nd in the Best Valued School rankings. The North region in the rankings contains 52 colleges. In an effort to place more emphasis on social mobility and outcomes, new factors were added to this year's rankings, including first-generation graduation rates. This weekend, thousands of people came together in New York for the Tunnel to Towers 5K Run and Walk. It is an annual fundraiser that started after the September 11th attacks to raise money for fallen heroes and injured veterans. And this year, the run came on the same weekend the FDNY lost more members to post-9/11 illnesses. Jeff Paul has the story.
In just the last 2 weeks since the 22nd anniversary of September 11, 2001, we have lost another 2 FDNY members.
New York's bravest marking a grim milestone this week. Over the weekend, the number of FDNY first responders who died from 9/11 related illnesses reached 343. This now matches the number of FDNY members who died on the day of the terror attacks.
For most people, it's a part of history. For New York City firefighters, it continues to be an ongoing tragedy.
Saturday morning, retired firefighter Robert Fulco died of pulmonary fibrosis. Earlier in the week, EMT Hilda Venata also lost her battle with cancer. According to the FDNY, both spent time working in the rescue and recovery at the World Trade Center site.
I believe we're somewhere around 6% of every firefighter that was working that day has now passed either on that day or after that day.
The FDNY now calling on the federal government to keep the World Trade Center health program fully funded. Officials warning a lack of money could lead to delays in care and the diagnosis of fatal illnesses. This could mean the difference between life and death for some.
The way the bill was structured, we have to continually go back for funding. The World Trade Center Health Program estimates their future funding need, and we make a push in Congress to try to get that funding.
According to the FDNY, some 11,000 firefighters are currently suffering from 9/11 related diseases. This includes more than 3,000 who have cancer. Jeff Paul, Fox News.
A third person has been charged in connection to the poisoning of children at a daycare center in the Bronx. Federal prosecutors unsealing the charges against Renny Antonio Parra Paredes. He is accused of conspiracy to distribute narcotics, leading to his alleged role in the poisoning of children at a daycare in New York City. A 1-year-old child was discovered dead at the Divino Nino daycare in New York City, and 3 other children were hospitalized. So far, 2 other suspects, including the operator of the daycare, have been charged in connection to the case. In an unprecedented show of support for a strike against the big three automakers, President Biden traveled to Michigan to walk the picket line with union workers. He's doing it one day before his possible 2024 rival Donald Trump travels there himself. Ed Lawrence reports.
President Biden making history, becoming the first sitting president to walk a picket line with a union in modern time.
Stick with it, because you deserve the significant raise you need and other benefits.
Let's get it!
Let's get back what we lost, okay?
The president's appearance in Michigan, an effort to show solidarity with union members who, at day 12, remain locked in an escalating dispute with America's three biggest car makers. Strikers are calling for better benefits and increased pay. Auto companies say their demands are too much.
Numbers don't lie, right? If inflation went up 29%, why are you trying to offer us 19, 20, and 21%? You know, it just doesn't make sense. And you offered your CEOs 40. That's not okay. We build these cars that the management's driving right now, you know.
Republicans, meantime, are critical of the president, saying it's his economic policies that led to the strike.
A picket line that he created, the subsidized electric cars that are putting them out of business and sending their jobs overseas.
But the White House says it's the president's policies that are bolstering the economy.
He believes that there could be a win-win agreement here, but he's always going to stand on the side of workers, always.
Wednesday, former President Trump is scheduled to visit Detroit and talk with auto workers to make his own pitch for the rank and file. In Wayne County, Michigan, Edward Lawrence, Fox Business.
The Justice Department announces millions in funding to fight the fentanyl epidemic, and that means going after drug cartels and their suppliers, including China. Attorney General Merrick Garland says the Justice Department will give more than $345 million in funding grants to help the Drug Enforcement Administration in their fight against illegal opioids.
In addition to prevention and support, we are committed to bringing to justice those responsible for the epidemic in the first place. I'm grateful to Administrator Milgram and the extraordinary men and women of the DEA who are working with their state and local partners every day to seize deadly drugs.
Garland says in just this year alone, over 55 million fentanyl pills and over 9,000 pounds of fentanyl powder have been seized. We have your complete forecast next, plus this.
What's a dream for many kids is now a nightmare for working parents. I'm Jackie Ibanez with a look at the impacts of 4-day school weeks as the trend continues taking off. That's all straight ahead.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, good evening and happy Tuesday. Just a handful of days left here in the month of September, and we did round off the weekend there with dealing with just some of those lingering showers as we were watching that post-tropical system was then just a weak low pressure system keeping us under some overcast skies, and those light rain showers only accumulating to about a few hundredths of an inch, bringing our 5-day total there from pretty much our 3-day total, I should say, from Saturday through Monday to just over about 0.3 of an inch locally. But those gray and gloomy skies that have been shaking out, those showers did start to break apart as we worked our way into our Tuesday, allowing for more pleasant fall-like weather, as what we'll see is that we'll continue to stay on the brighter side as we head into our Wednesday. So pretty similar day to today, especially noting that the morning hours may start off with some of that fog that keeps a little bit of a low cloud cover layer before the sunshine should be able to break that up. Now, there will be a quick disturbance that is going to slide on through. The low pressure system that is associated with it is expected to fall apart across portions of the Ohio River Valley, but a weak troughing system might just be able to shake out a shower and bring back some cloudiness from Thursday into Friday, before what we'll watch is that as that system is falling apart, what we're seeing is that through the upper atmosphere, there is going to be what we call an omega block. And we've seen these develop at times throughout the summer, and that's going to be centered over the area, which is going to give us a strong high pressure system and allow for sunshine and some warming as October arrives. Now, we got a few days before we get to that threshold, but note that we do do have a beautiful day setting up for our Wednesday. Definitely very fall-like, as we'll have our lows dropping down into those low to mid 40s, about where we should be this time of the year. Again, as mentioned, there will be some areas of some patchy fog, but that is expected to lift, and then we'll have some gorgeous sunshine around at times. Still will be some passing cloud cover to mention that will allow for maybe some cloudier conditions, but overwhelmingly, due to the cool start to the day, we'll keep temperatures into those 60s, especially still battling some cloud cover and still staying a little bit on the more active side. So looking at about mid 60s area wide. Now note that seasonal is about 70, so we're not frigidly cool, but definitely more of a cool, crisp fall-like feel. Now, as we head into our Thursday, we'll start off again the day with those cool, crisp morning temperatures around those low to mid 40s. So again, very comfortable. And then into our Thursday, we'll start to see some increasing cloud cover by the end of the day, which is going to restrict that warming from hitting those 70s, but we will get back to those 70s eventually, as we do note that across much of the area, we're talking about those mid up to upper 60s, which again, still very comfortable. Now, as we head from Thursday night into Friday, that's where that weak disturbance will fall, which is going to bring maybe a few light rain showers. Not going to put too much on that 7 days. The accumulation looking to be more of a drizzle or a sprinkle. We'll have to see how strong that system can stick around. But what it will at least do is usher in some cloudiness, keep us just around those 60s. But then as that high pressure system moves in, it brings us that warming as we work our way into October.